data across the country shows that Hispanics are the second largest group of voting age Americans and play an important role in the national elections. Our Brenda Rodriguez joins us now with a look at why that's also true on the local level.
Joe, voter data is hard to track when we're talking about race and ethnicity, and that's because when you go and cast your vote on the ballot, it does not require that information. We wanted to get a glimpse of what Idaho's Hispanic community looks like, and we have data coming from the census, the 2020 census, and the Idaho Commission on Hispanic Affairs' most recent data. And what we found was that 13% of Idaho's population are Hispanic, living in all 44 counties, and the most Hispanic residents reside over in Canyon County. They have over 62,500 residents, but only make up 25% of that population. It's still a pretty small percentage there. The highest percentage of Hispanics in Idaho are in Clark County, making up 41% of that population. Clark County is the only county required on a federal level to provide translated materials on the ballot. We'll talk about that as we get through this special. But 70% of Hispanics living here in Idaho are U.S. citizens, old enough to vote. And when we look at the midterm elections in 2022, we saw an 11.1% voter turnout, specifically being Latinos. And if we compare that to the previous election, there was a 2% decrease of voter turnout. This is going to become very important as we get through the show here. We'll come back to this in just a second. But Idaho's congressional districts are made up of two. District number 1, the population there, 10% of that population are Hispanic. District number 2, 13% of that population are Hispanic. And as this community continues to grow, Idaho Commission on Hispanic Affairs Executive Director says that that's not being translated to voters and people actually making it to the polls. And that's partly due because of these disparities here that people face here in Idaho. That includes language barrier, lack of resources, and education.
It's one thing to get them registered to vote, but we need to get them to the polls to vote.
Why can't we get our Latinos, everyone, to the polls?
You know, Brenda, I think that we're lacking a lot of education. We're lacking an organization that will work towards helping our families understand the meaning behind why it's important that they vote.
Do we know what counties are up top when it comes to Latino voters?
I think Canyon has really shown their numbers pretty high. Canyon County, the Magic Valley also has pretty good numbers. They're fairly low up in Bonneville. Idaho is far behind in collecting data based by ethnicity. So it's really hard for us to really get a good picture. I also see, because of that population of ours, of the Hispanic population being strongest at 25 years and younger, there is going to be a climate change here in Idaho.
Why do you think that is?
Not that we don't have elderly, but we, as we mentioned earlier, in the census, they're not, for example, they're probably not being counted.
For the young Latino voters watching right now, would you like to send them a message?
You have not only do you have the rights, but you have the responsibility. Carry that voice forward, because we all owe it to our ancestors who have worked very hard and continue to work hard for this state.
Joe Gonzalez says that it's important to track data like race and ethnicity because then you can pinpoint the communities that are not showing up to the poll and maybe provide a little bit more resources to that community to actually get them to vote.
Crucial information for our communities. Brenda Rodriguez, thank you so much.